Okay. I was just showing Greg something, so I'm still recovering.
Yeah, people asked if I was late. I'm not late. I was on time.
He was actually a couple minutes early. I was surprised. I was shocked. The reason why we started on time still, or maybe half a minute late, is because I had to show Greg something. So that was more my fault than anything. There's a fake documentary on Netflix called Death to 2020. Make sure you watch it. It is absolutely hilarious. It is so funny. So, hello everybody.
We're gonna take Travis's word for it.
Yes, it's so funny.
I've not seen it. I cannot verify if it is funny. So I'll have to watch it and then I'll verify if it's funny.
Oh, you need to verify that it's funny because it's funny.
Yeah.
Even Gary says, "Way to go."
Yeah.
It wasn't your fault though. I'll give you that. We got lots to go. So I kind of want to get into the story that I almost started. Hey, Sonny Dixon. I almost want to get right into the thing I was telling you. So maybe we should just go right into the show because, I do want to talk a little bit about that trip to Best Buy. And I know as soon as I started saying it, I saw the look in your eyes. You look very interested.
Yeah.
All right, so we can do that. Tell me when you're ready.
Tweet. Boom. All right, I'm ready.
Cool. All right. Well, we're just not even going to wait around, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get right into.
If you're not on time, shame on you. It's 2021. You're already starting the year off bad, and quite frankly, maybe don't even watch the rest of the show. So, bye.
Yeah. Basically, you're not allowed to. You can listen to it later this week when it comes out.
I was expecting better. So,
we're expecting better from you.
Late, jump off, catch it later, and do better next week.
That's right. You can try next week. All right, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, here we go. GadgetCast recording for the first time in 2021 in 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
Hello, world, and welcome to the new year, the new GadgetCast. My name is Gregory McFadden, joined always by my co-host Travis MCP.
Space travel.
I feel like we need to have a 2020 intro. Like we need to slightly remix it a little bit, just a little flavor on it, a little something on top of it. But let me talk a little bit about that. That song and the outro song were made by myself and you. You made the intro. I made the outro. But here's a funny thing. I made a bunch of songs after you got me hooked in GarageBand on my iPad a couple months ago. And I've actually been using some of those songs as like countdowns for my own Saturday morning live stream. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I got a copyright claim on one of them. And I'm like, how is that possible? I made the song. So I don't know what the heck's wrong.
There's no hope.
It's ridiculous, dude. We are in. That's 2020. It's just trash.
Someone must have made, because if people don't know what GarageBand is, it's an audio program on the Mac. I think there's actually a documentary on GarageBand and like how many like loops you hear in like TV shows you watch and just like media you consume that actually just come from this one program in GarageBand.
I believe it.
But what probably happened is Travis made a song using the preset loops there, and you actually get these preset loops, and then you can change so much with them to actually make like a pretty original sounding track. But what probably happened is someone took the same track that Travis had, and they're like, this is my song. Let me go into the YouTube copyright system. So I think next time you have to do it to your own music. You gotta have like the copyright ready.
You know how many different? Yeah, but I mean, it was a mix too. It was a nice here. I think I have the song somewhere. I should play it later. It's a good. I mean, you wouldn't know. Of course, I don't know what the song was that matched it to. It could also be a false positive. But man, I'm like, you can't get nothing. You make your own music. It's not enough. It's already a struggle on YouTube. These YouTube streets, man. These YouTube streets. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but GarageBand, it's a fun program. It's free too on Macs and iPad. And on Mac, you can get Logic, which is even more advanced, has even more loops. And if Travis had a Mac, I think he'd be making all of his music in Logic, and he'd be loving it even more.
So I was going to ask you about Logic because yesterday, as I was telling Greg off camera, I didn't really get into the story. He doesn't really know most of this. So yesterday I was at for the people watching on YouTube, you can see how close my fingers are. I was this close together, this far apart, this close to getting a Mac Air. I actually touched it, I tapped it. The Apple stores in my area are sold out. Amazon sold out. However, the Best Buy by me has them in stock. And I hesitated because of the 8 gig thing, right? Like that's still, it's not something that I would have ever worried about. If I hadn't heard people on YouTube talking about 8 gig, like I would have thought, oh, 8 gigs, that's more than enough for Windows. So I totally would get it for a laptop, for Mac. I wouldn't even think anything about it. Plus all the pricing of like that and the Mac Mini, which I probably would have bought, would have been pretty compelling. But in seeing that thing and realizing that, well, the only thing I'm using my iPad Pro for is to edit my videos. And if I learn Final Cut, which by the way, I don't even need to, I can just, with the new M1s, I can use LumaFusion on it. So I can keep my same editing. And I would get a fully fledged laptop. But what really was more compelling about it is the fact that it's lighter than my iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard.
Yeah.
This thing is a heft. I can knock somebody out with this thing. It's a 12.9 inch with the Magic Keyboard. I could kill somebody with that thing. With the Air, I picked it up. I'm like, this thing's pretty light. I kind of got seduced by it briefly. I almost had it. I almost bought it, Greg. They even have some open boxes, some ones to return for Christmas, save yourself a little extra money. So I was like, maybe. But that 8 gig thing just keeps stopping me. It just stops me enough. And you can't get the 16 gig for a while. So I'm kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Gary's watching. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gary. And I think we both kind of had different experiences with our 8 gig models. I believe Gary is just using an 8 gig Air as like his main laptop. And he says like, it's fine unless he got a 16 gig upgrade. But I think Gary is using the Air and he loves it. So,
yeah, I watched this video the other day about I think like a month later or something. Both of you guys have done like a month later or whatever videos, and just kind of see, you stand by the 8 gigs of memory.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean it's I don't know. It's I'm almost seduced. Knowing me in my past, that means I'm going to end up with one soon. I just know how I am.
What, like, for me, what's the worst thing that happens if you get this 8 gig Air and either you use it and you go, wow, I love it, or you use it and you go, I should get 16, and then you just return it. And if you really like the experience, you go ahead and you get the 16. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose. I just don't like returning things. I don't like have to do it. I mean, listen, I would do it for $1,000.
Yeah,
it's definitely happened if it's not going to do for me. And the other thing is, it probably will be enough because I'm not running these high-end codecs on my camera to edit stuff on. You got to remember, this isn't just $1,000 plus tax for me. It's another $300 for Final Cut. So like that's another big chunk of change I'm gonna have to throw on top of it.
I think you take advantage, and I give you permission. I give you a permission as an eternal student. I give you permission to buy the education bundle, which gives you every single program that Apple makes. Final Cut, Logic for like $200. I don't think they check if it's a student email. So I give you permission to do that if you ever went to school in your entire life. Life.
Drew said he was reviewing it, ran his channels off of the base Air. Yeah, he streams 3 times a week. Of course, you're probably the 16. Why not? I know. I gotta feel this for me.
I watched Drew's when the first Air came out. I got his opinions on it, and it was like faster than his iMac Pro at doing things. Like these computers are insane, and I don't think we'll ever see. Well, maybe we will, but we probably won't see a jump like this for a long time. This is like a once in a generation change. What Apple did with the M1 stuff. I would love for you to get an Air, and this would be like your first Mac too. So it wouldn't even just be a new processor architecture. It would be your first experience on Mac. A lot of great programs there.
And I would move away from iPad as a productivity piece of hardware, which it's, by the way, to be clear, I don't feel the need to. Now, I will definitely tell you that I will not like editing without touch. I've become so accustomed to be able to touch the timeline and move it around and do it. Like that is a big thing for me. I really enjoy that process, the tactile nature of editing. However, in watching iJustine use Final Cut Pro and how freaking fast she is, ultimately for me, it's about speed anyway. And that was another kind of one of those instances where I was kind of partially seduced. and then everyone talking so great about. I just was like, but again, the other thing is, it's only $200 for the 16 gigs. Unlike a lot of the other laptops, you can't upgrade it later on. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
So you almost might as well just get the 16 now just to be safe. Because while what you are saying is, yes, it'll be fine for the here and now and probably for the foreseeable future. If I really want to use this for a long time, why not? For $200, which is, it's not no little bit of money, but by the way, $200 for an extra couple of years worth of good performance is definitely worth it, is the way I see it.
I mean, that is my ultimate recommendation. If people are looking to get any of these machines for video editing, even if 8 gigabytes is working fine for you, I would still almost say the 16 probably is better. Unless you are like, if you can only afford $1,000 computer and like and you want a Mac, like, okay, go for it because that's the best experience you're going to get for it. But I would recommend the 16 because that's the biggest bottleneck with the memory, and the 16, it's double the memory. It really does make quite a difference.
Well, I almost got the Mac Mini because I love the price difference. I love how inexpensive it is, and I really wanted to throw it on like my TV just to play around with. But I guess the problem is if I ended up really liking it, making it an actual portion of my work would be harder because I don't really want to edit on my living room TV. No. I can't really bring it into this system where I have actually technically 4 monitors because I can't do 4 monitors on it. So there's this problem with the Mini that if I did like it, if it was kind of the thing where I'm like, oh, cool, I really dig being on Mac OS, then I'm stuck. I'm kind of screwed, right? Whereas if I get the MacBook, then I can do video out. I can't then I can take it with me. Like I can go in the living room, in the kitchen. Like I can edit wherever. So I went from really looking hard at the Mini to now starting to look at the Air because I don't think I need the Pro. I don't think the Pro's anything extra that I would need. And I'm really close. And I know how I feel when I get like this. All I would have to do is get a buyer for my 12.9 2020 iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard for a decent price. And if someone comes along and offers me that decent price, let me tell you something. Well, the other thing is I'd have to wait till February for the 16 gig MacBook, which is not fun games. That's the one thing.
Yeah, I mean, you might be surprised. You might order it and it might be ready sooner. Like I've had some experience with Apple stuff like that where you order it and it's like, oh, it's a month out and then it comes like 2 weeks later as they ramp up supply. So, I mean, you can order it now and then in the weeks you're deciding, cancel it if you don't want it. But if they ship it ahead of time, then hey, you got it faster than you were expecting anyway. So I feel like that worked out pretty well. You order it now. If it's really a month out and you're waiting 2 weeks and you're like, I really don't want this, you cancel it. Hey, if they shipped it to you, they solved your main problem of it wasn't ready in time. And then you have it and you're like, okay. And then if you really don't like it, you return it like everyone else does. But yeah, I almost agree with you that the Mac Mini, I think it is the best value, and I really like the Mac Mini. But the Mac Mini, at the end of the day, it's a cheap, really good desktop computer that's super fast, whereas the MacBook Air feels more kind of revolutionary. Like, oh my God, this is like a laptop. There's no fan in it. It's super fast. The battery lasts forever. Like, it's giving you like a different experience in a way, where the Mini just feels like a really inexpensive, fast computer. But the Air, it feels like something different. It feels like a new change. And I really like the Air a lot. I think it's the laptop to get for most people. And you're right, most people probably shouldn't get a Pro, although a video editor would take advantage of the Pro. But it's just slightly faster export times at the end of the day.
Well, but I guess the question would be, I see the 7 versus 8 core. The 1 core, I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. But with the Mac Mini, overcoming the storage issue is actually pretty simple because they have those really cool kind of connecting docks that you can just USB or actually Thunderbolt into, and it's just like you have more drive. I guess if you have a fast enough SSD, you could just edit right off the SSD right through the Thunderbolt. Is that how you would do it, or? Oh,
I do it. Yeah, I edit right off the SSD because I never have enough internal storage.
So how much storage is used up? Like after you get, I was gonna say Windows. I have to get OS, the updates, and a little bit of software in there. How much space?
256. Like I don't think like.
So you barely have anything left. Like you ain't get no downloads or nothing. That's the other thing is like, do you go 512? I'm like, ow, and then another $200.
I think you go at least 512 for you.
Right.
Maybe most people will be fine 256, but I think 512 for you would probably make more sense.
512 and then 16 gigs, and now we're up to $1,500.
Right? Starts adding up. All of a sudden, you're like $1,000 computer, and then it's like, oh, I gotta spend $1,400.
It's like $1,600 at that point. Hold on, let me do the math.
I think it's 1,400. Or 14.
Well, it's $1,449 plus tax, which is, I don't even want to look at that. Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen, while Greg tells me that I should be sending a whole bunch more money. Let me take a look. So if the base with 200 with 16 gigs is $1,300 after tax, I'm afraid to look. It's gonna be $1,500-$1,600. It's gonna. I'm scared. I'm scared. But see, I really wanted the desktop experience since I had the iPad Pro 2020, and for my use case, it's all I need. And I'm with Sean on that. Like but I can use it for my. I can write it off as an expense for my channel legitimately, because it would be. And again, if I sell my iPad Pro and get a decent amount for that, then I guess I would just go for the 512/16 gig, because why not? I guess. I don't know. What does everyone think? Everyone send us voicemails, emails, and everything. Tell me, should I buy the new MacBook Air? And then do a video on my channel and tell you all about it right after this. Should I do that?
I think so, because what else are you going to talk about?
Not much. Well, so things like yesterday's video, and I hopefully do more videos like that, where I took a $250 Android phone and made it into a desktop, which I was surprised. And then you know what I immediately had comments on, and I thought the same thing. Oh man, it'd be cool if iPhones could do that. Yeah, it would be amazing if an iPhone would have a desktop mode. It would be crazy. For those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, Android 10 and above have a desktop mode built into them, but only some manufacturers kind of surface that ability. And LG is one of them. And I got an LG G8 from Amazon Renewed for like $250 and made it into a desktop. Not only that, I found that you could actually game on it, which is thank heavens for 2020, because I mean, well, that's one thing you could say is you actually can do a bunch of cloud gaming directly through the desktop mode. And then it becomes pretty much a desktop and do everything, because everything that's in the App Store, which is like Zoom and Slack and all the work stuff, you know, word processing stuff, all that stuff is there. And the only thing that was really missing was gaming. And I figured out a way to resolve that. What do you think about that, Greg? What do you think about the Apples?
I don't know. I guess for Apple, it would have to be a good experience bringing all that stuff over to a desktop experience. And you might think, okay, it's pretty easy, but if you get one of these new M1 Macs, you can see like their first attempt at it, at running like these like iPhone apps on the Mac. And honestly, it's like a really bad attempt. Like it's not good. Yeah. So you might think like, oh, I plug my iPhone in, I get a mouse and keyboard, and I'm set. But the experience might just be bad enough to the point where it's like, all right, this is a fun novelty. Like it's really cool that I could do this, but I really just want like a full Mac experience. And
well, all they actually need to do, see, the problem would be trying to implement some type of full Mac OS. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is put iPad OS, have it turn into iPad OS when it's docked, boom, and that's enough. Because that's kind of in a weird, well, it's a little bit more than, well, it's about like that. All the Android docked modes are basically kind of like a pseudo iPad OS / Windows. It's like in between those two, because it does kind of both. I think if there was a way, they could totally do it, because they have iPad OS. The processing power of an iPhone definitely can handle it. Whether or not they would actually go ahead and do that, I mean, they're not going to do that. Just like they're not going to put a touchscreen on a laptop, which is terrible.
I feel like they will put a touchscreen on a laptop.
You think so?
Yeah, I still think so.
Do they get rid of the iPad then if they do that? Well, okay, they'll probably never get rid of the low end iPad, because you can make those cheaper than you can a cheap laptop, right? No,
because I feel like it would still be like the iPad. Like if you wanted like a touchscreen experience, it would be like the best experience. And Mac OS, what they did with Big Sur, it looks a lot more touch friendly, but I still feel like you wouldn't pick that over an iPad if you want it like a touch first experience. Like there's a lot of people who want touchscreen Macs and would probably, be fine with it, but I still feel like Macs are still kind of like on almost like a decline in a way, and most people really just need an iPad. Like if I'm like recommending like a computer to my mom, It's like get an iPad and they love it because it's so simple to use. Whereas on Mac, there's a lot more complexity to it, even though it's not like super complex, but there's more complexity to it. And just adding a touchscreen on it wouldn't necessarily make it an easier experience. So I don't know. I look at like Microsoft and they got like a couple different lineups of their computers. They got like the Surface Laptop, Surface Pro. Now they got like the Surface Pro X, which is its own different thing. I can see Apple adding touch on the Mac eventually, though. I feel like they're just going to get to a point where it's like, why not add it? Because you see like some of the decisions they're making, like putting like iPhone apps on the Mac. And one of the reasons why they stink so bad is because you have to use like mouse controls on them and they really just don't translate over well. So maybe it's not even, you probably wouldn't want to use touch full time on the Mac anyway. But if you open up LumaFusion and that's really designed around touch, well, then all of a sudden you're having a better experience than just using your mouse and keyboard. So I can see Apple still doing it. I think the M1 gives them a lot more versatility in how they might make a future Mac. Don't forget, the Macs that we're seeing now are they took the Intel chip out and they put the M1 chip in. But what does the M1 chip give them? It gives them computers where they don't need fans in them to get really good performance. That could enable an entirely new form factor on the Mac that they just couldn't do before. So I think we could see some radically different Macs coming over here, especially if this M1 hype really does translate over to increased sales, if this really is, because really right now, Windows doesn't have anything that can compete with the M1. If this translates to increased sales for the Mac, that means Apple's going to put even more focus on it and go, where can we get some more money out of this? And maybe they'll explore that. Yeah,
I mean, they're probably going to do that anyway, because I believe, first of all, manufacturing your own processor is just a win anyway.
Listen, for the longest time, if you asked me, is Apple going to put a mouse, a trackpad and a keyboard on an iPad, I would have said no. And then they did it one day, right? Like,
that's true.
You always have like those opinions. It's always no until eventually it's yes. And there's been a few times in Apple history where they've done that on a less grand scheme. Like Steve Jobs famously once said, like, oh, are you going to put video on the iPod? He's like, no one wants to watch video on a small screen. And it's like, everyone wants to watch video on a small screen. That's how most people consume video content these days, on small little screens. And when they added video to the iPod, it was so popular. So I think if they see a good use case for it, I think it will eventually come to the Mac. And they've put so much effort into the M1 that I don't think the Mac is a dying platform either, where a few years ago you could have looked at the kind of like minuscule upgrades they were giving the Mac and go, are they trying to like kind of like maybe like push this off a cliff and go, all right, we don't need the Mac anymore, get an iPad. But this investment into M1 changes everything. It's a huge investment into the platform.
Yeah. So, speaking of kind of small screen entertainment, this brings me to another thing that I have in the title of this podcast. Xbox Game Pass, and I want to bring it up because I obviously used it in my last video talking about how you can stream gaming to a quote less powerful device. So that'll also be coming to iPhones this year using the mobile browser, which is kind of an interesting way to bring that in. And the way that I even kind of looked more into the cloud streaming at all was when my power went out a week or so ago, and I was without any kind of entertainment. My house is really fun when there's electricity. It is really boring when there's no electricity in my house, Greg, because everything's powered, right? So yeah, I was able to pick up my OnePlus 7 Pro, use the SIM card in it, and stream some gaming to it. And this is where cloud gaming really was clutch for me, because I'm sitting there with the lights are out and it's just boring, and I'm like, all right, let me try this. So the nice thing about it is it does keep the power in the cloud. And the more I think about that, the more it just seems the way of the future. But I've been playing a couple more games on Xbox Game Pass, and the idea of a Netflix type gaming solution works. And I like the way they're doing it. I think PlayStation does something very similar. Stadia, it is a weird thing because you pay for access of things you've paid for. So I think one of the problems that they had was it's confusing. You're paying like $10 a month to play games that you own. It's like, well, wait a minute, I had to buy the game too. So that was a very confusing, they do give you some free games, but it's a very confusing way to do it. Whereas Game Pass is like, $10 a month or whatever, and you just get access to all the games that are there. I like the idea of more things moving to the cloud. I think processing power wise, things like and by the way, this used to be the way dummy terminals were a thing back in the day. There could come a time, and there probably will come a time in the future when buying the hardware is no more than just a keyboard and a monitor. You don't need to have to worry about the processor, RAM, and everything else because it's cloud-based. Like, there's no reason to have the hardware locally. You're not really gaining anything unless you don't have internet access. So there will be some sales for people who just, there's no power, there's no internet where you are. Maybe you're in a jungle or something. I don't know. You need a laptop out in something. But for the most part, internet's becoming, like, you can be in the middle of nowhere and have internet on your phone, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So the processing power in the cloud, where you never have to upgrade your hardware, is as soon as you can explain it to people in a way that makes sense, which is marketing, I still believe that's the future, which is one of the reasons why I love the Amazon Echo series of products. I've talked about this before, which is why I invested in it long ago, because I knew that in the end, what you buy today is less than it will be in the future, and you don't even have to pay additional for that. It's not like you're paying extra for this Echo that I bought. Does things that it now plays Netflix. You know, that Echo Show now plays Netflix. That was not a thing they even did a couple of weeks ago. And it's just a new thing all the time. I think that's the future of all hardware. I'd like to see more of that this year.
Yeah, I mean, I still think I do think, I mean, that makes sense. Why wouldn't that be the future in a way? Because eventually you're just going to want all your stuff everywhere all the time. And then a streaming platform could just give that to you. It's easier for a company to get a bunch of powerful PCs essentially and let you stream from them. And then when you're not using it, someone else is using it too. So in a way, not everyone has to go out and buy the same thing. You kind of have this shared system of hardware. I still think we're a long way from that becoming like a true reality, though, because while you and I might live in areas that have okay internet, and even that, like, I have good internet at home, but like if I walk in the wrong direction, my cell service can be like nothing. So I still think we're like a far way away from that dream of like the connected cloud, and it's like I'm on the bus and my phone can play PlayStation 10 and it's like zero latency. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we're eventually going there. I think this is probably the first generation of stuff where we'll see a real crack at it, and it will probably work pretty well, depending on how strong your internet connection is. There were some attempts back in the day to kind of try and do this, but those services had a lot of limitations and a lot of latency, and I really do want to see like zero latency or close to zero latency, I guess, like cloud gaming. I think that would be really cool. And I also feel like for future hardware, like VR headsets, I feel like one of the biggest problems with that is processing power. And if we can offload the processing power away from like these bulky headsets attached to like desktop tower PCs, then all of a sudden that becomes hardware that people will actually want to use rather than how niche it is right now. If you can get away all those bulky components and make a sleek looking headset where all the processing power is done somewhere far away, you got yourself like a winning product over there that really is like future stuff, like glasses, headset, sleek design, and you just put it on, the processing's done somewhere else. It just boots up, gets it all the information from the internet. That's going to be crazy.
Well, I mean, look, so first of all, technology is rapidly, exponentially getting faster. So for example, one of the first 4G LTE phones was the HTC Evo. I actually think I had one of those. And that was back when 4G was they were still trying to figure out if it was like LTE or WiMAX. For some of you might remember WiMAX. And this was back in like 2009, 2010. So we're talking about 10 years ago, not quite 11 years ago. And that was 4G to 5G where we are now, like a 4G where it was kind of suspect to like more than solid 4G into 5G. And back then, think about 2010. Think about the world in which we live in 2010. I had an HTC Evo. I loved it, and so did Gary had it too. And I remember the thing having a front-facing camera. And I remember going, I don't know, this seems like a really cool idea to do video chat, but there wasn't a lot of apps to support it. I think it was mostly like Skype, and most people did not have phones with front-facing cameras. And it was like, someday, I don't know when, we're going to be able to call and video call, and you can just call anybody. And that's kind of where we are now. Of course, it's a little bit easier to do on an iPhone than it is on Android, only because, the kickstand thing. I was buying kickstand cases for years after that phone because I love the kickstand. One of the things that was interesting about that is it kind of made me think about the future. Like, oh man, one day we're all going to call each other because we have the front-facing camera. And now it's so commonplace. It's so incredibly commonplace. and it took 10 years to get there, but everything has accelerated. And if you look at the last 3 years, look at the difference there. I would say there's less of a difference in the last 3 years than there were in the first like 5.5. Because we are at this tipping point of like, well, we can do just about anything we want to. Like we can do just about everything. So it's just a matter of infrastructure changes and little things here. Well, we just need to put money into it. And I guarantee there's other countries, because there's a lot of countries that are much better set up with their internet infrastructure than America is. They could do a lot of this stuff right now.
It's true. Yeah. It's, we really do get used to what we have really quickly. It is quite interesting when you really think back and you think one day like, wow, video calling, that's like such a sci-fi thing. Like, when's that going to be a thing? And then you get video calling from anywhere. I can go outside and video call Travis, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is amazing. And you get that technology, and then like I never want to video call anyone. Like,
I know. Well, there you go.
Want to take a phone call, like text message me, and then we'll deal with it that way. It's like personal. It's like, no, I don't want a video call. But no, you get so used to everything. You're so like entitled in a way that you really do have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and go, wow, look at this moment we're in. Look at all the amazing things we can do. Obviously 2020 was very rough, but think about how much easier it is because of all the technology around you. The fact that you could actually video call someone, you didn't have to go, this podcast would be impossible without the internet, without video.
I was about to say 10 years ago, I was doing one of my very first podcasts 10 years ago now, but it was audio only. And while you could call into stuff, the audio quality wasn't that good. There was no video. You certainly couldn't have someone get a video call in like we did last week. Like we were just bringing people in, and they could have been anywhere. A lot of people were outside. They weren't at their desktop. They were on their phones. So these were things that weren't even thought about, 10 years ago. And it's so commonplace now that you literally take it for granted. I walked around my house today earlier, turned off a light with my voice, and immediately was like, bruh, I'm in the future already. I'm in the future. Like I just turned off the light with and I can turn the
the year is 2021 now. That seems pretty futuristic. It's like, whoa.
It does seem that way.
Whoa.
It does seem that way. Yes.
Yeah, wait till 2025. Then your mind's really going to be blown. You're going to be sitting at your house, and you're going to be like, hey, Google, order me. Oh, you can already do that.
You already can do that. That's the thing. You can already.
Hey, Google, cook me my food. And it's be like, okay.
I mean, you can almost do that too. It's kind of crazy.
And then like it's gonna like launch it across your house. It's gonna fall on your plate. You'll be like, yeah. That
I would put money on that exists on YouTube somewhere. Someone has already done that, is my guess. We just have to find it on YouTube.
Yeah. When is Apple gonna make the like Apple oven? And it like
you know what I'm hoping for? You know what I hope the technology gets to the point of? Where someday we can all be in the same room together. Wouldn't that be amazing? I can't wait for technology to get good like that. That'll be great. Can you imagine?
Like a holographic? Like
no, I mean like let me shake your hand. That'd be amazing. Can you imagine the technology we would need for something like that? Holy crap on a stick. I mean, it just seems impossible at this point. But can you imagine me coming up to you and giving you a hug, Greg? My God.
Right now, I can't imagine it. There's nothing I would want less in this world.
The technology you would need. The technology we would need for that is amazing.
You need like a well-funded vaccine program with proper distribution. Oh, wait. I don't know.
Just go watch. Like I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast, and I think it beforehand. Go to Netflix and watch Death to 2020. It's hilarious, and you will enjoy it. So anyway, yes, technology getting better.
Yes, and also worse. too.
Also worse. Yes, we can.
Also, worse things about technology, like all the personal data and then all the tracking. And
Well,
then,
let me ask you a question. So I have a smart home. I love all this stuff, but I do have a line. I think I've talked about this on the podcast,
Yeah.
but I would love to hear your line. So for those of you that are new to the podcast, I have echoes everywhere. I have lights I can turn on and off, thermostat I can do all the things with, all that stuff. So like lots of tech, but I draw a line at remote door locks and remote door locks, remote garage door opener, and indoor cameras. I have outdoor cameras. That's my line of what I would and would not have when it comes to smart home. How about you? Like, where is your line, or is there one for you?
no, I don't think I have a line, honestly. As much as I just gave a privacy speech, I saw when Amazon showed off that. Talk about the future. They showed off like that camera that'll like fly around your house. It's like a drone. And I was like, I want that. That's so cool. It just like chases like the intruder around your house, and they're like, "What? Like, give me that. I want that. That's so cool." So yeah, give me everything.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I the reason why I stop with the reason why I stop with locks and indoor cameras is because of my sling blade. Was it called sling box incident? I told you about that, right? Did I mention that on podcast? Maybe if I haven't. Now, for people who may not remember, a couple of years back, the easiest way to stream video wasn't just like Netflix on your phone, especially if you wanted to watch TV. There wasn't a lot of live TV apps at the time. And Slingbox was a company that came out with a device that you would hook to your satellite or cable box, and you could stream anything off of that. So it could be live TV or things on your DVR. Loved it. Had it for a couple of years. It was nice for at lunch to be able to watch some stuff that was on my DVR. Now, what it does is it literally takes the analog video out, and then just streams it across the internet. You have to sign up for an account, all the things. And you put this little box on top of your DVR or whatever. Anyway, for the last year or two that I had it, I didn't really use it that much because around that time is when, like Netflix, Hulu, all these things started to really start gaining steam. So I didn't really need access to it. And I remember one day I was watching satellite. This was a couple years ago. I was watching satellite. All of a sudden, the menu screen pops up, and then it starts moving down. And I look over, and the light, and someone is actually accessing my Slingbox and turning the channel on my thing. I was done. At that point, I'm like, okay, that freaked me out enough that I'm like, okay, indoor cameras are a no-go. And then my locks, I don't want someone unlocking and locking my door from Lithuania. That I want you, if you're going to try and unlock my door, be at my house so I can do something about it. I mean, we can, if you wanted to go, we can go. But if you're going to be in Lithuania in your grandmother's house and I can't get to you, it's not fun. It's not fair. Same thing with garage door.
Yeah, I don't really care about the smart lock stuff. I feel like it just doesn't make sense either. It's like why do I need to unlock my door when I'm not there? Like, I can never envision a scenario, even if like someone's like visiting like a friend or anything. I would want to be at my place if I'm unlocking my door and letting someone in. I wouldn't just want to be like, oh yeah, go in, do whatever you need to do. Maybe like, I don't know, maybe there's like a babysitter, but it's like, make a spare key. Like, how hard is that? So yeah, I don't want door locks, not even for privacy reasons or worried about people hacking them. I just don't see the reason. Like, what convenience is that bringing you? And it probably just seems like a hassle. Like when the battery dies, it's like, oh no, now what?
Yeah, no, I have security cameras all over the outside of my house, which is fine. Yeah, that I'm good. I just don't want. There's just certain things I draw a line on, and I think the convenience is sometimes not as good as the risks. Now we should have Snubs on the podcast here soon, because Snubs, Shannon, is a security expert. She has a YouTube channel. Very amazing person. Helped me out on CES last year. Just great. And she really can help us walk through security. Maybe we should have her next week. I'll ask her if she wants to come on. Because I think talking about security, here's the problem with security. I like talking about security stuff on YouTube. No one watches it. No one watches security-based video. They don't care. People don't care until something happens to them to get their stuff hacked. I've had my identity stolen. I've had all types of weird stuff happen. And it's a horrible feeling when it happens. It's so helpless. But no one wants to talk about it in advance.
No, and I'll tell you why. I don't want to know. I don't want to know all the horrible things that'll happen to me. So, because there's steps you can take to prevent it. But
And that's what I want to talk about.
at the end of the day, like you're also kind of like if someone really wants to target you, if someone really has you in their crosshairs, it is hard to prevent that in a way.
But here's the thing, two things. Number one, I'm not going to make it easier for them. And number two, just because someone could break down my door, even if I lock it, doesn't mean I'm not locking my door. You know what I mean? Like if someone wants me specifically, okay, fair. But I don't want that one person who just happens to be checking doors down the street to see which one is open and then goes in. You know, I don't want the lazy person in my life, right? Like, oh, look, they left their passwords 1, 2, 3, ABC. Yeah, cool, you know. So those are the ones that I'm keeping out because that's 90% of what's happening. So I think it'd be cool. I'll ask her and see if she wants to come on next week because I think it'd be an interesting conversation. She deals with a lot of hackers and stuff, and I think it's an interesting subject that we don't really talk about.
No, someone brought up John Processor. Yeah, that works out. He got his channel hacked, and like, look at that.
Yeah.
Like, that was like a big channel, got taken over, and he had very little control over what he could do. But even he could have taken steps to actually kind of prevent that. And I will look up those steps to try and take action as best as I can. But it is scary how far people can get if they have the knowledge. Thankfully, most people don't have that knowledge, right? Like you really, this is someone, you basically, Travis is right. You want to make it so the lazy people can't get into you because the people that can get into you are going to charge a lot of money to do this. So most people can't afford them. So if you can get past the lazy people, you're usually in a good spot. Unless you just really made someone mad, you like cut them in line at Starbucks, and then you got Viper hacking you because he didn't get his drink. So,
well, do yourself a favor and don't go to. Well, I don't know if it's a good thing about it. Maybe you should. I caution this because it's like a little bit like seeing how the sausage is made. If you go to YouTube and look up how to break through like locks, there's this one guy like Dr. Lockpicker or something like that. I forget what his name is.
The lock-picking lawyer. I don't like that guy.
Yeah. Well,
that guy.
No, I can't remember. Is it because I'm someone on Twitter, right?
No, I don't like lock-picking lawyer. I got a fingerprint lock. Yeah, I don't like this guy. I'm canceling the lock-picking lawyer. I got a fingerprint lock. It was such a novelty item. I was going to use it for my gym locker back when you could go to those things. If someone wants to break through my fingerprint locker and have my gym close, all right, whatever. You know, I'm just trying to get past the lazy people. If you really want to go do it, go ahead. My problem with the lock-picking lawyer is there's no good lock. People are like, that lock it's not good. The lock-picking lawyer got through it. There's not a lock on his channel that he doesn't break through. He can break through any lock. Right. So it doesn't matter. I could have bought a $2,000 lock and the lock-picking lawyer breaks through it in 3 seconds. How am I supposed to decide which is a good lock? Which is why I said, if anyone wants to get into your thing, if they have the knowledge, they can get it. You just have to make it hard enough to where someone goes to your locker and goes, shh. Okay, moving on. So the lock-picking lawyer, he can get into any lock. Listen, if there's a lock and it has a key, there has to be a way to get inside of it. So there's things you can do to get into that lock. That's kind of like everything. There's a way to get in. There's a key. There's a way to get in. And that's why the idea of like making like a backdoor key, like the FBI wants to do with like Apple and stuff like that, it's a bad idea because once the key exists, there's a way to get in. If there's no key, then there's really no way to get in. So lock-picking lawyer, I want you on the channel. How about that? How about extending our invite to the lock-picking lawyer? I got so much grief over that lock. I was like, look at this cool lock. It unlocks with your fingerprint. And then I got all like these lock-picking lawyer fanatics there. That lock is not good.
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing about the lock-picking lawyer. I've watched a couple of his videos. Even if he breaks into it, which he breaks into like 99.9% of the video, he's like, oh, this is a good one. But you're like, but you broke into it. How is it good? You broke into it. That's because he's exceptionally good. But what's really scary is how easy it is for him to break up. Like it is, you watch it, you go, I don't know why I bought this lock. I mean, you watch his videos. Anyway, people can get into your stuff. By the way, most people just kick down your front door. So you need to get a strike plate and some other things to try to protect yourself.
Yeah. Like, listen, if they want to get to my gym locker and steal some clothes, all right.
But isn't it more not so much about your clothes, but like wouldn't your keys and wallet be in there?
No, I always take that with me.
Oh, you have it in your pocket? Oh, okay, that's smart. There you go. That's smart. That's smart.
No,
Right?
they're not getting that. That's where I am. I'm like, I'll put some stuff in there, but my keys, my wallet, no, I'm not leaving that in the gym locker. Nice try. Nice try, lock picking lawyer. It was a diversion.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? What else are we gonna talk about before because we started a little early, so we're wrapping. We're coming down the final stretch here. Oh, the S21 real quick. I want to mention. We'll know about that in like a week and a half, as if we don't know everything. And I still feel like in some point, shame on you, Samsung. Figure out a way to not have people with a damn phone in their possession. Although I think OnePlus is even worse. Did you hear about this? The OnePlus 9, someone sold it on eBay. The prototype.
That's funny.
Bro, what is up with these Android manufacturers? I mean, the last time that happened to Apple was the iPhone 4, but that was like a legitimate kind of someone forgot it at a restaurant.
Someone left it at a bar, and then
that is a little bit more. It makes sense, but someone selling like the OnePlus 9 is crazy. And then of course, who are all these people that have? Who's this guy on YouTube that has the freaking S21 and has been making videos for the last 2 weeks? I talked about it in a video a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, can we get away from this? I'm almost like frustrated because there's the only thing that they're going to tell us that we don't 100% know in a couple weeks is the price and maybe a couple of software tricks, maybe. But since people have the phone, you already can see the software tricks. So I'm kind of like, bruh. I'm just disappointed. Disappointed. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Digital Slang, who actually watches I think my channel, somehow got the Galaxy Buds Pro. I don't even know what those are, but apparently he went and bought them on like Facebook or something. I don't know how that works. This is what I'm talking about. He went and bought the I think I saw on his Twitter, he said like went to Facebook and bought the Galaxy Buds Pro. I've never even heard of these things. Come on, man. What is going on?
Yeah, I don't think they've even announced those, so
ridiculous. What happened to your AirPods Max? How are they working for you? Are you having the same battery issues that Viper and not Renee and Jason are having?
No, I don't like the battery life on them. Well, I mean they're fine. They're literally fine. Like it's fine. It's 20 hours, whatever. I feel like that's pretty much true. But I do listen to my headphones a lot because I work from home, right? Like I'm always like listening to stuff, and it's like again, I bring these up. They're like 60 hours, so I'm kind of like used to like. Yep. These in a way, and I'm like, wow, like it's like a total first world problem. It's not an issue. It's not like, oh my god, these things have horrible battery life. They have noise cancellation too, so it's really not a fair comparison, right? Like there's stuff going on in the headphones. These have no noise cancellation, but
I don't think the problem is the usage battery life. I think it's
they're like draining, right? Those are draining.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
I haven't really noticed it, but I actually just put mine back in the case when I'm done with them. So maybe
like Jason had a problem when he put it back in the case, and I think Viper did too, where he was still losing a lot of battery life. Like even in the case, like there's an actual problem. I don't know if it's just maybe with his or whatever. I don't know.
I haven't noticed it on mine, or I'm not checking for it, but I mean, they seem fine to me. I charge them up every week, I guess, but yeah.
Jimmy's promo got a bunch of Galaxy. I know Jimmy. He actually told me some information for that S21 video. Actually, he told me stuff a couple of weeks before that, before I even made that video. And but that makes more sense. He's got a YouTube channel, and like that's one thing. This other person just got some stuff and then like opened up a YouTube channel. Like, what is happening? I don't know. Niki's in the house. Good to see Niki's. Yeah, I just think. So I have not seen the third-party cases on Amazon yet. Have you looked at these that supposedly put the AirPods Max in low power mode? Because that's what I think people have been waiting for.
I saw a few third-party cases that look like just headphone cases that you'd want. They're pretty inexpensive, so it solves a pretty big problem if you like the AirPods Max and you don't like the case. So it's good that they're out, and I think a lot of I think that's basically like the number one issue that people have with the AirPods Max is that case. So the fact that they got that solved pretty quick, which I think we kind of both knew, like, right? Like third parties are going to take advantage of this so quickly because it's Apple. Nikia says you were talking about my thumbnails.
Yeah. Whenever you use the ones that you use on
sacred thumbnail,
the ones that work. You know what I'm talking about.
The ones that work. Hey, it didn't work last time, so I don't know. I think I got to find a new trick.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the there's a gray carrying case for the AirPod Max with these, but see the cases I see, well, the case that I see, you put it in the actual case that it comes in.
Mhm.
I don't know. But you're going to see this all the time on Amazon or eBay or whatever, where manufacturers know that, hey, there's a lot of money to be made here.
This one, yeah, I see it too. It fits the case anyway,
Right.
which is cool.
Right.
That's
Right.
kinda
That one's
cool.
nice. Yeah, and that's a good travel case.
You don't have to use the case. Like you can just put it in regular,
Yeah.
but you can fit in the case it came with too. So that's cool.
It's a good travel solution.
Yeah.
Which was the problem with these, because the one they come into doesn't really protect anything. So like, what the hell is the
No, yeah, and then there's a slot for like if you have the wire for the headphone. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, it's back ordered to like January 23rd, so they must be selling.
Listen, that's the thing. These things are selling. All of it is, regardless of the pricing. It's selling. The stuff's selling.
The case is really ugly though. It looks like a butt.
Yeah, it's not. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. I'm not gonna lie. It's not pretty. Oh, and one last question before we finish off for the day. How is the knockoff wristband that you got for your Apple Watch working for you?
Fine.
So good.
Yeah, it's good. I'm on my official one now, but yeah, it's fine.
Back to the official. Will you be switching? Will you be switching?
I'll be using them whenever I feel like it. I wanted the red one for like Christmas time. Now it's New Year's. I'm back on blue. So yeah, I'll be switching to mix it up with my outfits.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's the point, right?
Well, I mean, next week we'll find out if I have placed the order for the MacBook Air. I don't know. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode. If you missed that, you're watching YouTube, definitely watch the replay or download the audio podcast when it comes out this coming up week. Anything else you want to say?
Well, Alex T, he asked it a lot, and I'm just going to give it to him. But he wanted to know if we'll be inviting John Prosser on the show. And then he also wants to know if Apple will bring Touch ID and 120 hertz to the iPhone 13 Pro. And he's already got a prediction. It's January 3rd as we sit here today. And he's saying the announcement will be September 14th, 2021. So, we're going to see if Alex T is right. And maybe he's the ultimate leaker if he guesses that one all the way in January 3rd. That would be pretty impressive. I don't know. Let's see. 120 hertz, I feel like it's a given, right? Like they're going to do it this year. I feel like the technology for the LTPO stuff is out there. It's more readily available. So I feel like the Pro series will definitely have it. Probably not the normal series, I'm guessing. They're going to like differentiate it if it's Apple. Touch ID, I would love for them to bring back. I hope Apple takes time to realize like the situation we're in. If they can change that fast enough, right, in their production lineup and give us back a fingerprint solution. Mm-hmm. I would totally be for that. There's been rumors of them incorporating it beforehand. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I feel like Touch ID makes sense, especially like now that they know the situation we're in. Even if you think you're going to be out of it this year, why not make it easier to unlock your phone when like everyone still is probably going to be wearing face masks for the majority of the year? I feel like Apple should get that done.
Yeah. And Nikias, yeah, we'll definitely have you on the show. If not next week, depending on what Snub says. Then
he's the biggest fan of my thumbnails, but not my channel. Well, yes. Thank you. At least you're a fan of something. That's
exactly.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, we'll have you on, Nikias, of course, no problem, buddy. And then James from last week said his son's not going to miss this one because he missed out when we did the calls last week. So if you missed the live stream last week, I don't remember where we stopped in the podcast. You should definitely go to the YouTube channel if you're listening to the audio podcast right now, because we did some call-ins at the end. We had some really cool people call in. We appreciate that greatly. And I'll tell you one thing, it's been another incredible couple of days, but we just started 2021 and we're off to a fiery start. I think this is a good episode. I think this is a good show. I felt good about this one.
Yeah, for a show where like you come into the new year, and as someone who's been running a tech channel for the past few years, Travis and I talk about this privately. January is one of the worst years to run like a tech channel because really there's not too much new stuff out. You start to get, actually S21 will be. This is kind of a little bit unprecedented. Usually it's like February for this stuff. So maybe we'll get some relief pretty soon.
It might help me out a little bit, yeah.
January is typically like a pretty bad year for us because, like everyone tries to get their products out before Christmas. That's the big holiday rush. But I think we pulled off a pretty good show.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again next week because why not?
Yeah, we'll do a good show next week. We're not going to do a bad show, but after that, it might be a bad show.
After that, there's no guarantees. I mean, it's 2020. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Travis. He's Greg. We are GadgetCast. We'll see you next week. And we are here. Yeah, January is a bad year. I got a 1 in 10 in YouTube Studio though in January. That is a big flex. My last 2 have been low, but I kind of knew they would be. My last video though, I knew it's just going to take some time.
Yeah, be kind, especially to smaller creators in January, because it is like going from the highest high of like the December. Like for those of you who don't know, which I guess is most of you watching this. There's a thing called like CPMs on YouTube, and that's basically how much money you make and stuff like that. And, obviously like going into the busiest ad spend is like the holiday season. That's when everyone's buying gifts for each other. So advertisers want to get ads out then. And it all kind of goes from the highest high to the lowest low. It is like go whoop, and then all your money kind of like disappears, especially for like smaller creators. So be extra kind in like the comment section because it's tough. It's tough for people.
Indeed. Ron, I'm typing something to somebody.
Yes. There was an article in Business Insider. I should have showed this to you. Who was talking about it? Luke Miani was talking about it on Twitter. And it was how much a YouTuber with 200,000 subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like, well, it's a really bad metric to judge what they make it on because number one, subscribers that has nothing to do with revenue. It's views. But then the type of channel you run also depends a lot on how much money you make on your channel. A tech channel might have completely different CPMs than what I think is probably the highest is what the finance channels have the highest, I would say.
Yeah, they definitely have some very high ones for sure. Yeah,
but then like
some of the lowest are like gaming channels.
Gaming channels are super low. Anything that's like targeting a younger audience where they have no money to spend is really low to the point where like people can get like 1 million views on a video, and I don't even think they're cracking like $1,000. And it's like you look at that and you're like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Like, because that's a lot of views, and you're not cracking 1,000 on a 1 million view video, and that is like gaming channels. Like they'll get like 1 million views, and it's like not that much money.
Right, it is, and then the other channels don't get very many views, and make great money, especially if they have things off of YouTube or sponsor deals or something like that.
And then you make a channel dedicated to the second stimulus, and you're buying this mansion or something, man. I don't know how much money those people are raking in, but it's good.
It is not a great time, Miguel. Not a great time. Although to be honest, like when you're first starting out, you're not. Yeah, at the end of the day, like when you're first starting out, it's hard to get views in the first place. So I guess it's kind of 6 and 1 to have dozen the other.
Yeah, listen. Maybe it's actually a good time to start a YouTube channel because you don't make money when you start anyway. So now's the best time. Maybe you build up your channel for the next holiday season, and then you're ready to make some money. I think we had a GadgetCast first here where we went into the pre-show or after show, sorry, and we got more viewers. So I think that's like a GadgetCast first. Usually there's like a big drop off in the after show, and now
that never happens.
Back up again. So
that's funny because we did have a drop as soon as we went to Aftercast, according to the thing, and then it's going back up, which is weird. Maybe people think we're still online. Well, I mean, I think our channels are the drama channel. I think they already exist.
I had such a good channel idea. I told it to my close friend yesterday.
I know you keep saying you have this idea, but you're not going to do it.
I won't tell you. I can't tell you.
It doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you tell me?
I can't. For a reason, if I ever went through with it, I would.
You're not going to. You're not going to go through with it. So just tell me. Maybe I'll.
I'm close. I'm like,
oh, all right.
If I decide not to do it, I'll tell you. But
okay.
I'm still deciding. Still deciding. Yeah, and I can't tell you because I feel like you would ruin it somehow.
What? How would I ruin it? How would I ruin it?
You would. I know what you do.
I don't understand what I would do.
You destroy me.
I don't understand. What would I do?
Don't worry about it.
Oh man. Yes, indeed. Cancel Greg. Yeah, no, I still have my other channel that I need to do more content on because I know the thing is I have a bunch of other I have a couple of products that I can do reviews on, but I'm half tempted to just wait until February to release them. And because I knew that yesterday's video wouldn't start off very fast, but I was kind of hoping it would do even a little bit better than it did, even though I kind of had lowered expectations anyway. And I know that it's a long tail thing, but what I don't want to do is put out a bunch of videos that would definitely do better if I just waited a little while. Like that's the thing. Like you don't want to put something out that you could be giving up 10 to 20,000 views, which for someone who doesn't have a YouTube channel might be like, well, how do you do that? Doesn't make any sense. YouTube is a beast. If you, depending on when you put something out, you could get a whole bunch more views for the same exact video. It's just, it's weird. So I'm almost thinking about not putting out very many more videos, especially not the ones that I have in mind this month, because I feel like they could do better another time, but we'll see. Like even the one I just put out, I kind of wish I had held on to it. There was no rush to do it, but I was so excited about it that I wanted to share it. So, and the feedback's been really good. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it is difficult, man. I mean, even you were having a couple of videos where you were struggling to do well. I mean, but the other thing for you is like you've had such incredible months up until now, like a really high, ridiculous.
So it has to end eventually, and I'm just like, when's it gonna end?
They smacked you in the face with it in a couple of videos there.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was like, oh my god, no one's like. It was so bad that I released like 2 stinkers in a row, and like Travis like messaged me like,
I know, and I
canceled.
And I never do that.
No views, and I was like, I was already down, and I like see this video, I'm like.
I felt kind of bad, but the other thing is I knew that it wouldn't last, but I'm like, and I didn't mean to do that in a bad way, which is why I did it in a personal text rather than online. Like I wasn't trying to embarrass you.
Online, you look like the biggest jerk.
I know. Well, listen, I was giving a little nudge.
This guy can't get views anymore.
The reality is this: Greg actually spends a lot of time propping me up, giving me, making me feel better and stuff. So I should never do that to him. But I couldn't help myself. This dude getting millions of views a month had a couple of stinkers. I'm like, finally, I can drop a load on him right quick. Let me just do that.
That's a phrase that was said on Gadget.
That's not what I meant to say, but whatever.
Good thing you didn't say on the real show.
That's the rated R cast. All right, whatever. Anyway. Okay. All right. Well, that's enough. We probably should go. Textuary was a disappointment. No new Macs, no new iPhones. Well, the other thing is, yeah, I know. We had so many things coming out at one time. I don't know. Doesn't that lead the rabbit hole of going broke, buying this? Well, so Gabriel, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways of looking at this. So when I very first started, I remember like it was yesterday driving around to like Dollar Tree and Big Lots just looking for stuff I could review. I'm getting bad comments now. And at the end of the day, like you gotta, if you're especially doing reviews, you gotta, my biggest video still to this day is a product I had in my house for a year before I put it up on YouTube. So there you go.
Yeah. Running a tech channel, it's really hard when you first start because it is it's a lot of money, especially if you're trying to review like all like the latest phones that come out. It's really expensive. When I first started out, it was like a huge strain. But I think if you're starting a tech channel today, the thing I would tell you is when I first started out, I thought I need to review a product to make it big. And my first big videos were opinion pieces rather than reviews on products. So I kind of feel like, and I know if you're a tech reviewer, you have that bug, like you want to review stuff. So it's kind of hard to get out there, but don't think that you have to go out and buy like the latest thing every time and review it. Even I don't do that. And I'm at a level where I couldn't go out and buy like every like LG phone that came out and reviewed it. Like that would be unsustainable for me even at this level. So, don't be afraid to do like an opinion piece. Like you see something and you have a thought on it, that's a video. People write articles all the time and it's just their opinion. So you kind of have to have that mindset of like, and honestly, those videos tend to do like better for me than like a review if it's like my opinion, which is weird. It's like, oh.
I mean, that's kind of how I established my channel over the last year or so.
Don't,
I mean,
don't review something if you don't have it.
Right.
You can't do that. You can't be like, the iPhone 13 is awful and I'm not buying one because you don't have it. Well, you can make that video. You can make that video, but you can't be like the battery is bad and I don't have one, but the battery, it's awful. And the screen, yuck.
Yeah, exactly.
The screen, ugh. I don't own one.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Anyway, I want you to
No.
go watch. What is it? Death to 2020 on Netflix. Everyone in the chat, please go watch that. It's very funny. And I'm gonna go play some video games. I beat Rage 2 on Xbox Game Pass. It was very, very fun. Game I would have never picked up or even known about if it wasn't for Game Pass, and I loved it. Had so much fun. Now I'm playing Borderlands 3. That was on sale. Bought that, and I have some other games. So I'm gonna do all that until Cyberpunk gets the next gen patch, and then I'll play that when that eventually becomes not a hot steaming pile of whatever it is.
I feel like that's never gonna come out. They're never gonna have the next gen patch.
By the way, you and I need to do like some co-op gaming and stuff, man.
Yeah, I was looking at my Xbox and I'm like, I really need to plug this in.
You need to, because we need to do our thing. I don't think we're supposed to be 6 hours anymore. Right? Even our I know it's all right. No, that's not going to happen.
Viper. That's a Viper thing. 6 hours.
By the way, Renee and Gary, Everyday Dad, who was in chat earlier, Gary, because he's very specific on what days he releases his content. It's always like 3 times a week, and he used to do live streams too. Like I don't know how he's been doing it for years, and it's just always like, I don't know how he does it. It's incredible to me. But Renee also has been throwing out so much freaking content, and they're all long. I'll look through and I go, oh, Renee has a new video, 20 minutes long. He just released a video yesterday. It was like 15 minutes. How do you do that? And I mean, all the success he deserves. Go ahead.
I'll tell you. Ready?
Yeah.
It's gonna blow your mind.
Here we go.
Expose Renee Ritchie and the Everyday Dad. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna talk some trash right here on both of them.
Oh, what?
They have a really strong work ethic. So
no, that's true.
Yeah. They stay focused. Where I'm sure, like me and you, it's like I could make a video or I could watch this TV show,
which is what I do. Yeah, you're sorry.
So they have a really strong work ethic. They get it done, and then I think they like enjoy themselves. But for us, I think we get easily distracted, and then we're scrambling at the last minute, going, "I need to get this video out now." That's me.
And that's me for sure. And the other thing is, most of the time, I don't know what I'm going to make a video on. Like I don't. There's days where the day that I wake up and I'm going to do a video, I have no idea what I'm going to do it on. That happens a lot, actually.
I feel Renee. I want to make shorter videos too, and then like by the end of it, I'm like, this is a long video. I really just want to like do an easy one. It's like, ugh.
You know, the funny thing is, 90% of my videos, if my video is like, if it's a 10-minute long video, the uncut footage is maybe 13 minutes. And the reason why it's 13 minutes versus even less than that is because sometimes I'll be reading my notes on my phone. But I mean, it's very efficient. The only time that's not the case is when I do my end of the year videos. So my end of the year video this year, I cut out a lot of stuff. So that 13-minute video could have been a lot longer. But
we got uncut, the director's cut.
No, that's all right. We don't need that. I got a lot of really great feedback on that. I was surprised Danny Wingett actually watched and left a comment, which I never interacted with Danny. I thought that was dope. A lot of great feedback on that. And the funny thing is, interesting thing, I didn't mention this to you, I should have told you. For the amount of views it has, which isn't many, although it did beat what I wanted to get. So when I went into this, I go, I'm not going to get a lot of views, so I need to just do it for the joy of doing it. And I set a number. I'm like, I'll be happy with that. It's above that, so I'm happy with that. But based on the amount of views, the amount of comments and subscribers to that view base is wildly higher than any of my other videos. Like the amount of subscribers I got from that video per view and comments per view are so much higher than my normal video. I was like, oh, damn.
That's good, man.
So yeah, very successful video just all around, and people really seem to like it. So Thank you for showing up to the premiere. I saw you in there, Greg. Thank you.
I was there.
That was nice. I appreciate that.
No
Did a little
problem.
Gadget Cast shout out at the end.
Gotta shout out the Gadget Cast.
All right. Well, let's get this done. Let me upload this file to you, and let's get this audio podcast posted for tomorrow. And everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. We'll probably be here next week because where else are we going to be?
Good question. Good question.
I mean, we ain't going nowhere.
The McRib, is that over?
I saw it the other day.
The other
I did
day?
not-
I never had one. I feel like I need to go get one. I heard it's horrible.
It's not great. It's one of the weirdest things.
I'm gonna make a video called I ate the McRib, and then I'm gonna upload that.
It's just weird because they make such a big deal about it every year it comes out, and it's just not that great of a sandwich. And I like ribs, and I love barbecue sauce, and I love all that stuff, but it's just not a great sandwich.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
enough
almost
of this.
everything on McDonald's menu. Not that great.
Big Mac is really good.
It's good, but it's also like not really like a good burger. But it does have that taste where you can only get it there.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about, but it is not a good burger. But it does.
No, it's not a good burger.
Sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want that for some reason.
You know what I did do, 619? I actually just ended up buying all this. Voodoo has a sale on The Office for all the seasons for $30. So I just bought that because I ain't gonna get this stupid Peacock thing.
619. I almost tweeted this the other day and I didn't because I felt like I would get a lot of backlash. I love The Office. It's a great show. I love it. It's a really good show. You guys need to start watching some other content and expanding your horizons.
No, because I like to watch it for certain scenarios. Sometimes when I'm eating, when I can't pay complete attention and I just need an occasional laugh. Like I just recently was watching it the other day. Love it.
I will give Peacock this. Apparently, they've been sitting on so much like unreleased footage, and like the
I heard about
footage
this.
they've been releasing, it's like some like really good like bits and stuff like that, like some like really funny stuff that's just been like sitting in like this vault forever. But yeah, everyone, stop watching The Office for the 20 millionth time. There's a lot of stuff out there, like my videos. So why don't you go watch that?
Yeah, go watch Greg's videos.
I give you permission to watch my videos on repeat while you eat. Why not? Load up a Greg's Gadgets video.
Sure. Why not?
It's almost as good as The Office.
Almost.
Like now that The Office isn't on Netflix. Yeah. I'm not watching Peacock. All right. I'm done with that streaming service. No more streaming services. I'm done.
It's too many.
Thank
It's
you.
Too much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
you.
you.
All right. Good night,
everyone.
Good night.
See you guys next time. Peace and love.